Welcome back to Rachel's Whimsical Arts. My name is Miss Rachel and you will be learning how to draw and paint dandelions like these. So the first step, and I'm going to show you on a really big paper, but we're painting on pieces of paper that's about 6 by 6 inches. And so you're going to want pencils, eraser, a pencil, eraser, watercolor paints. It can be any kind of watercolor paint. Some water. You can optionally use, if you want to, some sea salt or table salt. And if you want to, you can also use crayons if you want, or oil pastels for extra added effect. Besides that, you also do want to use a fine point Sharpie pen, or if you'd prefer and you have this at home, you can use one of these micron permanent ink markers. Any permanent marker that's black will work, okay? So, and the other thing you're gonna want is some kind of circular jar or cup to trace a circle with. So you could use anything that you've got lying around at home, yogurt container or a small tiny cup. This is a little too small. I want something a little bit bigger that's about 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches diameter. Okay, so I'm going to show you on this large piece of paper, even though you're probably going to make something smaller for these delicate dandelions. So what I did was I took a yogurt cup container or a circle, whatever circle you got lying around, and I traced circles with a pencil. I'm using a pencil first to trace my circles. I'm going to have a group of 3 dandelions. You could do groups of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many you can fit on your paper. And then after you trace it with pencil, this is hard to see, but I'm doing this lightly with pencil so I can erase it later if I want to. After I trace my 3 circles, and they're in the middle of the paper, so I've got room on either side, above and below them, and all the way around them to do other effects with the paint. So that, after that's done, you're going to take your permanent marker. Oh, that pen's old. Let's try another one. You're going to take your permanent marker and you're going to draw a dot with the permanent marker in the middle, like a bullseye or an eyeball with pupil in the middle of the circles. Then you're going to take your marker and you're going to draw lines that are curved out from the center. Some lines will go all the way to the edge and some lines will be short. So when I do this, I'm imagining that this is like an eyeball. And when you look at an iris of an eye, you can see lines that are all the way to the edge and some lines that are short. Then after I do lines like this all the way around, I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to draw a circle at the top and then make it into a 3-pronged fork or hands for a little stick figure person, and draw 2 circles on either side. Circle, arms, circle, 2 arms, circle, circle. So what it looks like from the center out is it looks kind of like this. And you can actually add a couple of these in the wind, like they're floating away from your dandelion. So you're going to do this repeated over and over and have circle, circle, 2 arms. So it's 3 circles and 3 lines to make this wish for your dandelion. And then after that, after you fill it all in, you're going to make the dandelion stem. And you're going to do that on each one of these. All right, so speeding on ahead, let's go back to this one. So when I pay attention here, where I painted with my watercolors, I wanted to have a green one, a purple one, this one's going to be blue, and this one will be pink. I painted everywhere around and behind, around each flower, but I left the dandelion white because dandelion fluff is very white. So that will be, instead of having that like the negative space behind the flower, this is actually the positive space, and we're painting the background, which is the negative space behind them. But we're gonna leave those white, so we're not gonna put any color on them. Now, if you want to add crayons, you can add crayons, designs behind them if you want to. Totally up to you. And don't forget, you've got the little stems that you're gonna be drawing out from the center all the way to the edge of your paper. This one, you might see part of it going through the other dandelion, and that's okay. Okay, there we go. So I didn't finish drawing all these. I'm gonna paint around them just so you can see that step. Okay, and then I'll show you the salt technique, which is pretty cool. So you're gonna want your paintbrush and your cup of water, and you're gonna wanna put water around the circles of the flowers. So there's no water in the middle of them. You're just taking your brush and following that pencil border that you drew with a pencil earlier. All right. You're gonna paint over the stems that are hanging out below the flower. And the reason why I'm adding water everywhere before I paint it is because it'll blend my colors together. I can add yellow to my blue to make it green. I can add shades of light blue and dark blue if I have it, or if I have white paint, I could put white on there. Or if I have black paint, I could put black with my blue color. So you got choices. Now I chose to make this into one color. You could choose to have like all warm colors behind them or all cold colors. It could be a blue sky, it could be a sunset. It's really up to you how you want the colors to come out around the circles of the dandelion flowers. But just remember to put water as a circle around your flowers before you add color. Okay, so now I'm gonna do this one as blue. I have a light blue and I have a dark blue. So I'm gonna add my light blue. If you don't have light blue, but you have white, you could put white with your blue to make it light. Or if you don't have white or blue, you could put purple, whatever your color choices are, okay? So here's my dark blue. And I'm letting the colors bleed or blend together. That's why I put water on my paper first. Now, if I wanted to, I could add more color. You know, it's really up to you. I just thought it would be fun to have each dandelion with different colors in each one. So that's why I did that way. Oh, and don't forget, if you do want to play with salt, you can do that now. Okay, so how you do that is you get enough water on the paper. So this was a little dry, so I'm adding more water on my brush to blend these colors around my dandelions. And then I'm gonna get my salt and I'm gonna put it on top of the wet paper, okay? I have to make sure that my paper is wet for it to work. All right, so I think I have enough water. I can see it's really shiny and drippy. And now I'm gonna take my salt, and I have a big amount of it. These are salt crystals or sea salts. You could use table salt, but the way that the salt works is it absorbs all the liquid. And you have to let it dry with the sea salt or the table salt on top of the painting for this speckled effect to look fun. It just has to sit overnight or maybe a couple hours in the sun. If it's sunny out, you could put it outside and let it absorb the color, okay? There. And I don't remove it and I don't put any more paint on it. I just leave it alone. That one's done. I can put color on my pink square of dandelions now if I want to. Now this one, it has the dried salt crystals on it and I can rub them off after it's dried. And the reason why I might want to rub these off is because if I don't rub them off, they could fall off and get into other things really easily and be a mess. So I'm just going to take my finger and gently rub to get them off. I don't want to scrape them with anything because then it could hurt the paper. So my fingers will work fine. And then I just brush it off. So now, this is what the salt would look like. This is what it looks like before it's wet. Now when you use wax resist or crayons to resist the wax and leave behind the color of the crayons, or oil from your oil pastels, it does work. So you could, this is a pink one, so I think I'm going to do red with the pink. You could draw designs behind them just to see what they look like. Okay? And that is a different kind of effect. That might be really fun. All right. So then I would put paint on top of it, just like I showed you before. I would put my paint around here. So I'm just going to do a little section right here. I'm not going to do the whole thing. There's some blue left over in my water, so the water looks blue right now. So I will put my color over the wet area that has my drawing with my crayon, or it also works with oil pastels. And I'm going to paint on top of it, super wet, on top of that crayon or that pastel, and it will leave behind the pattern. You can still see it through the paper, which is pretty fun to do. Wax resist with watercolors. And there you go. That's how you make a dandelion artwork with mixed media, drawing, and pencil and ink and watercolors. And if you want, you can try the salt effect. All right, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Be kind, let's shine, and I hope you come back to my next one. Thank you. Take care. Bye.